Although some details about the story of Toy Story 5 have already been revealed, no one is really sure what will actually happen in Pixar's new production. But did you know that there are already many theories about the movie circulating on the internet? And we can guarantee you that many of them are pretty dark. Evil Buzz Lightyear. We can all be certain that several Buzz Lightyears will appear in Toy Story 5, but we don't really know whether they will be allies or enemies of Bonnie's toys. It's likely that they won't know they are toys, just like the Buzzes in the first Toy Story. In that case, they could end up becoming enemies of the main toys, even if they aren't actually evil. But what if one Buzz who is part of this army of Buzz Lightyears is truly evil, like a malfunctioning toy that only wants to destroy the other toys or even harm humans? This starts to make sense when we remember that Toy Story 5 will focus heavily on technological intelligence and artificial intelligence, since the villain will be LilyPad, Bonnie's new tablet. In other words, these new Buzz Lightyears could very well be more technological and operate using artificial intelligence like robots. And as you've surely seen in many movies, fictional robots love to malfunction and turn into major villains. Will we see that happen with a Buzz Lightyear? We still can't confirm that, but what we can confirm is that today we're going to talk about all 9 dark theories about Toy Story 5 that you need to know. The moment has come! Let's enjoy another Cinewave together! Sid's return. Do you remember Sid, the villain from the first Toy Story? Even though he was just a child, he truly managed to turn a movie about toys into a horror story. The boy committed cruel acts against his own toys, turning them into grotesque creations. Just imagine if he were to return in the new movie, now as an adult. If that happens, it's possible that he has become even more cruel than before. Sid in the first Toy Story could be mean to his toys, but he had no way of knowing that toys were actually alive. He was just a creative kid. However, in the end, the toys who had been Sid's victims revealed that they were alive right in front of him, leaving him absolutely terrified. We don't really know what happened to Sid after that, since his only appearance after that event was in Toy Story 3, where he shows up very briefly working as a garbage man. Did Sid overcome that trauma and start believing it was all just his imagination, or did he grow up knowing that toys are alive? If it's the second case, it would make complete sense to see Sid return as an adult obsessed with proving that toys are alive. Toys revealed. Since the beginning of the franchise, the main rule for toys has been to hide from humans that they are alive. They even broke this rule when they revealed themselves to Sid in the first movie, but that was a one-time event and no one else would believe him. We never thought that one day the secret of the toys would be revealed to the entire world, at least not until now. This theory became popular because of one of the promotional images for Toy Story 5, in which Woody, Buzz, and Jessie are seeing their reflections on LilyPad's screen. One detail is that a green light is on the tablet, indicating that LilyPad is recording the toys. Could this villain manage to do what no one else ever did, which is revealing the big secret of the toys? That would make LilyPad the biggest villain in the entire franchise, and would also cause the saga to completely change starting with Toy Story 5, shifting its focus to showing what a world would be like if humans discovered that toys are alive. It's easy to imagine that this wouldn't be good at all for the toys, who would end up being hunted by humans. The next movies would basically become survival films. But what would you love to see happen in Toy Story 5? Leave a comment down below with #toys and your answer so we can read it. Fake Woody. One of the things that caught the most attention in the Toy Story 5 teaser was the fact that Woody is present in Bonnie's house alongside Buzz and all the other toys, which is very strange because the ending of Toy Story 4 was specifically about Woody saying goodbye to his friends and leaving with Bo Peep to become a toy without an owner. Many people started to believe that the new movie will ignore the story of Toy Story 4, while others theorized that Woody will return to help his friends. However, there is another possibility. What if this Woody who appears in the teaser is not the same Woody we followed throughout the last 4 movies? After all, toys are not unique. There are multiple models of all of them. We've already seen hundreds of Buzz Lightyears in Toy Story 2, and we will see even more of them in the 5th movie. Therefore, the Woody from Toy Story 5 could simply be a toy that looks identical to the franchise's former main character, but is completely different in personality. It's not hard to imagine that Bonnie's parents bought him after Bonnie realized that Woody had disappeared. And this is a very interesting way to keep Woody in this movie and in future ones, without undoing his ending in Toy Story 4. Origin of the toys. Another thing that could finally be revealed is the real reason why toys are alive. Since the first Toy Story, the toys simply accept that they can think, talk, and make decisions, even though they don't have brains or anything like that. We also accept this because these are children's animated movies, but even so, there must be a reason within the Toy Story universe for this to happen. We just haven't discovered what that reason is yet, at least for now. An incredible way for Pixar to surprise audiences and make this movie something very different from the previous ones would be to reveal this secret once and for all. We saw in Toy Story 4 that Forky came to life right after being made by Bonnie out of recycled trash, showing that a toy will come to life regardless of its origin. But what actually causes this? You could say it's the love a child has for the toy, but it seems that toys manufactured in factories already have consciousness from the very beginning, long before they are loved. Maybe there is simply a magical rule that every object gains consciousness the moment it is considered a toy. But then comes the question, who created that rule? That feels far too specific to simply be a law that has existed since the beginning of time. Sacrifice. Even though the Toy Story movies are aimed at a child audience, they have their heavy moments, in which terrible things happen or almost happen. The most emotional scene in the entire franchise is certainly the one in Toy Story 3, where the toys nearly fall into an incinerator. But that could change if Toy Story 5 wants to surpass that level of emotion. The best way to do that would be through the sacrifice of a beloved character. But who would that character be? The truth is that no one is really safe, especially since we've seen that Toy Story isn't afraid to say goodbye to important characters, considering that Woody left in the 4th movie, and we've already explained that even though it may seem like he's returning, it's very likely that the Woody in Toy Story 5 is another toy. That being the case, any character could end up sacrificing themselves to help the others defeat Lilypad in the end. But there's one character who has more reasons than anyone else to make that sacrifice: Buzz Lightyear. He is a space hero, and even after discovering that he is a toy, he remained altruistic and always willing to do everything he can to help his friends. On top of that, he was the main character alongside Woody in the last 4 movies, and since the original Woody is gone, the next step seems to be Buzz Lightyear also reaching his ending, an ending in which he sacrifices himself and proves to everyone that even though he is a toy, he is also a true hero. You know what would be awesome? Subscribing right now and getting all our videos straight on YouTube. The Adult's Secret. Toy Story 5 has the opportunity to bring incredible revelations that would shock both longtime fans and new viewers who might start watching the franchise with the 5th movie. And we already have an idea of what one of those revelations could be, based on a detail from Toy Story 3 that very few people noticed. At Sunnyside Daycare, there are several cameras that record the toys even while they are moving. There's no way for the toys to know when the security guards are checking the cameras, so it's practically impossible that none of the guards have ever seen the toys moving through the footage. That being the case, how has the toys' secret still not been revealed? The answer could be revealed in Toy Story 5, and that answer is probably simple. In reality, adults have always known that toys are living beings. That would change everything we thought we knew about the toys, but it actually makes a lot of sense for this to be a secret only for children. After all, adults are the ones who build toys, and it would be impossible for them to stay disguised in places that have cameras, for example. However, children rarely have access to security footage, while adults do, and when they see a toy walking around in those recordings, they simply accept it and remain silent. A bad ending. When watching a Pixar movie, we always expect the ending to be a happy one, but what if Toy Story 5 goes completely in the opposite direction? The toys will be facing a much more threatening conflict than ever before, since their enemy is now a tablet and the evolution of technology itself. If Pixar follows the more classic route, the movie will end with the toys managing to regain Bonnie's attention, but the truth is that very few kids actually play with toys these days, so the more realistic ending would be Bonnie permanently abandoning them to spend all of her free time playing with Lilypad. This more realistic ending would leave a lot of people very sad, and some might even feel disappointed, but it would also be very innovative. One way Pixar could do this in a less depressing way is by showing the toys learning to accept that their time has passed. It would still be a sad ending, but a little less heavy than the final scene being the toys crying as they are abandoned by Bonnie. Illness. Now, something even sadder and heavier that could be addressed in the movie is the idea of Bonnie becoming very sick, to the point of having to be hospitalized. The previous movies have already shown the toys learning how to deal with stages of life, such as their owners growing up. But what about the fear of their owner simply losing her life? That would turn Toy Story 5 into the kind of movie that makes absolutely anyone cry, and would perfectly match the emotional storytelling style that the franchise has been developing over the years. We've prepared 2 videos you're going to love. Pick one and keep having fun here with teen videos.